Have you sent gifts to the likes of O Magazine, maybe press releases to your local newspaper, and haven't heard anything back? This episode is going to be one you're going to want to watch.
Hello and welcome to episode 53 of SOHO Insights, brought to you by Parallels, our sponsors. The company behind Plus Control Panel, the control panel you need to use if you host your website as a small office, home office business. All of our web hosting clients do. And Overlife, where we empower your small office, home office businesses by providing you with web hosting, voice over IP, and web conferencing in one place that speaks your language. Hello, I'm Kathy.
And I'm Jen, and this week's episode is all about PR and the small business. So we're talking about small office, home office insights, and a lot of us small office, home office businesses want to be able to get into those major news publications, whether they are local newspapers or O Magazine. So we have on a special guest of Margo Myers, who many of you, if you're in the Northwest, will know from her days as a news anchor. But now she is actually getting small businesses into shape when it comes to PR. And we've worked with her before.
We've worked with her and loved it. And I'm a little nervous because we have her looking at us while we're doing this. So she's a pro. So it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I'm excited. Stick around. We'll talk to her in about 10 minutes. And it's all, again, about how to get your small business into the press, how to use somebody in PR like Margo, how to fix your mistakes, little things like that, things that are going to be incredibly relevant to the small office, home office lifestyle. So
stick around.
Yeah, stick around. And in the meantime, we wanted to talk quickly about the book. If you go to overlay.tv/books, you can find out. Yeah, you can find out what we're reading as a team, and we're just finishing up Seth Godin's We Are All Weird. I finished a while ago, but you guys are just finishing up.
No, the producer started it, and he loves it.
What do you think?
Yes, it's very good. I have not. I'm still finishing up
It's only
Steve
like
Jobs.
2 hours. It's basically a movie. Go to the gym a couple times and you'll be good.
It's done. Well, that's next. But Steve Jobs' bio is the best book I've ever read.
Mom emails me probably every other day with a new YouTube video to watch.
Love it. It's so inspiring for me. So
yeah.
I'm not done with it. Chapter 38 or 39. And there's a lot more to go.
Yeah, so we'll, next week we'll update you on a new book that we're starting as a team. And again, we use Audible for a lot of these, so if you're just frustrated because you don't have time to read, that's always something, a nice solution to think about. A good gift certificate. To consider at least.
Yeah.
So the next thing that we've done, we started last week. December is a hectic month, and so part of what we're doing is showing you a gift-giving guide when you watch Small Office, Home Office Insights every Monday at 7 p.m. live at overlay.tv/live.
But I will say the reason why it's busy too is because a lot of our hosting clients, they have a lot of marketing going on. We've got some busy clients this month, so yay for them.
Yeah. Yes, it's been nice and busy here.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've put them together. We've got our Overlay Manifesto. We've got 4 values that we really hold at our core, and all of our business is really brought around those values. The first one that we did last week was on family, and this week's gift giving guide is on health. We're really excited. We've got 10 items, and we'll go over them more completely at overlay.tv in the next couple of weeks. But the first one that we wanted to show you, we've got, again, we'll go through some of these more quickly than other ones, but if you want to pull up the first photo. So Mom sent me this idea.
Oh, this is a gift basket, but not for anybody. This is a gluten-free gift basket. I've never received one, and I've been gluten-free for 2 years, family.
I actually thought that was a good idea because it's a gift basket of snacks, and so if you're at your home office desk, you've got an easy, healthy alternative.
Yeah, because you don't want to get up. But that was at Amazon, so it was pretty fast.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Just start going through them faster.
Yeah.
This is Jennifer Jordan at fortheglow.com. She's got a superfood diet. It's fantastic. You guys definitely have to check it out.
Yes.
You can just keep going. Okay, water. Whatever water jug at your desk.
We need one
I
in the
like this one. It
office.
was from Anthropology. I thought
Yeah,
this
that
was
would be
really
good.
interesting design.
Interesting. Oh, and then my favorite. This is our gym, Thrive, gift certificate. They've got one going on in our local gym, so I assume all of
Gym
them.
memberships,
Yes.
lots of discounts.
Especially
to be
right
had.
now. And Body Back is one of our clients and partners, Jamie.
We've got multiple. We've
Yes,
got lots
actually,
of them.
many of them are. And this is really strict diet with really hard workouts too.
Well, you brought it up by being a personal trainer, and that's nice. And this is mine. It's yogaglow, I believe, .com, and I'll have links over at ovali.tv. It's
look at
$18 a month versus $18 a class for yoga, and you can just do it in your home. So this is pretty fantastic for the small office, home office lifestyle.
Oh, I should have put that one too. That one's good. The one you just put up, say what that is. That's perfect.
The armband for running.
Or working out.
Yeah, I think that's the brand that you have, the Belkin one.
Yeah, I like that one.
That's good.
Oh, and this is our client that's really going strong right now with her marketing.
Works2sweatby.com. She's got some really cute things up on her website for the healthy type. I like all of them because it's fun little sayings on them.
She's doing well.
Nice.
Yay for Dana. This one I saw on Leo Laporte, which we will be highlighting the end of this month. It's a jawbone. What's it called? Jawbone.
.com.
No, it's a Go or so. It's a bracelet that you wear up. Yes, and it tells you, and I need this, when you're sitting at the desk that it's time to work out or do 50 crunches or whatever else.
What does it do if you don't?
I don't know, but it's supposed to
tighter
buzz
or
you or
something?
something.
Shocks you.
It shocks you. Just what I need.
Oh, that's funny. And then the last one, I think, is the gift certificate to a local spa for massage.
Yes, we have a lot of clients that are local spas. So.
It's pretty fun. So anyway, 10 quick gift ideas.
Hey, we did that fast.
I know.
We did good.
Mom was really worried that it was going to take too long.
Because we have a great guest.
I know. We're very excited. Like we were saying, if you're just tuning in right now, over at ovali.tv/live, every Monday night at 7 p.m., or you're watching later on iTunes or on YouTube or Blip TV, wherever you're finding us at.
Thank you.
Margo Myers is going to be on in just a moment. But before we get started on that, we wanted to very quickly introduce you to Parallels, who's our sponsor. And as we've been talking about our clients, they're web hosting clients, and Parallels is actually the ones that provide them with the control panel that was made for the small business that can't necessarily rely on a design or marketing team to help them set up email addresses, manage hosted applications like their CRM, or do some simple website maintenance. The team at Parallels really cares about the end user and takes the time to research products and applications that every small business should need. The control panel is easy to navigate. There's some nice little tabs that are organized. Our clients are always excited because they can find what they need when they need it. Web Presence Builder is a really big deal. It was just launched recently, and you can basically create a website in a matter of hours. It's really aesthetically pleasing too. And then, of course, there's the one-button publish for WordPress, which designers everywhere rejoice in, I'm sure. It should be easy for all business owners to take or to be able to launch their own websites and emails easily, and Parallels Plus Control Panel ensures that every business owner can do that with just a few clicks. Head over to ovali.tv/parallels to find out more about how Parallels is working to help make your small office, home office lifestyle so much easier. So now we want to introduce you to Margo Myers, who's our guest today. If we can bring her up. Hi, Margo.
Hi, Margo.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Kathy.
Yay, we're so excited. I know,
too.
she's so beautiful.
I know.
Oh, thank you.
So Margo has, like we were mentioning before, we've actually hired her to do some press for some PR work for Ovali. I hired her personally after I was given the chance to go to the White House.
Yeah.
And they've said, you need to get yourself in the press. And I said, okay, I'm calling Margo.
We've learned so much from her, too.
Yeah, a lot. So anyway, Margo, why don't you tell the people that are just tuning in more about yourself, how you got into PR, and why you love it so much.
Well, I've worked in TV news for 25 years, and so I was on the other side of the camera or on the other side of the media, and I did, everything from reporting and anchoring and live shots and breaking news and all of those things, documentaries, all kinds of different stories on every imaginable thing. It's one of those businesses where you need to know a lot of information about a lot of different things. And then 25 years came around and it was like, it's time to do something different. So it's like, okay, you have to do what you know. So PR is just approaching media from the other side. And since I know what newsrooms and what media will be looking for, it kind of made natural sense. And so what I do now is I work with a lot of small and medium-sized businesses to get them the coverage that they need, or, set up speaking engagements for them, help them with their messaging. I really like doing strategic messaging, and I work with a lot of nonprofits as well, marine industry. I don't really have a particular niche. I'm kind of all over the board.
You do
so
wine
that must
too.
be my short attention span. And anyway, and so I work with a lot of different companies, but that keeps it fun.
Very.
It does keep it fun. So, Margo, I'm just going to get into some of the questions
Sure.
quickly so I make sure that we've got some great content for those that are tuning in. The first one is, I like this question. What is the number one mistake small business owners make when trying to approach the press? Which
That is
I
a good
think
one.
we've probably made a couple.
Oh, yes.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that a lot of small businesses, they don't understand the media, so they target the wrong media. And what you really need to do is understand, a lot of media, whether it's print, online, TV, radio, newspaper, magazines, they have a certain niche that they target. They have a certain target demographic. So what a small business owner wants to do, you really need to know who the target demographic is of the media that you're pursuing. And you kind of have to figure out, what's in it for them. And then find out, okay, what makes my story newsworthy? What sets it apart? And what will appeal to their audience? And so a lot of times, small business owners, they're not media professionals, and so they don't know what questions to ask about looking for, the demographics and knowing enough about the media or, what medium they're looking at to really know, okay, this particular show, their demographic is women, so I should be going after them, or this particular, they only do sports, or they only do marine industry things. So you really have to know what the target demographic is and then approach the right ones to sell your story. I recently worked with Crimson Oak Publishing, and they're in Pullman, and we were working on Ryan Leaf's book, 596 Switch. And Ryan Leaf was a WSU quarterback who took the Cougars to the Rose Bowl at the end of the 97 season, like the first time they'd been in 67 years. So it was a huge deal.
Yay.
And so it was really fun because Ryan has a great story. He had incredible talent coming out of college. He went to the NFL, and he was like one of the biggest busts ever as a professional football player. And so, then he went into he traveled around, he went to several teams, then he went into coaching. He got addicted to painkillers and he got in trouble for that. And then he was going to write these books, and then he got diagnosed with a brain tumor. So he has an incredible story to tell. And so what we did is we must have set up 50, 60, 70 interviews over the course of about 6 months promoting Ryan, but that, his book and the fact that he was writing this book was really the hook that got us into those different media. And they were almost all sports related. So that was the niche, and anybody who was a sports fan would know who Ryan is. And so that was kind of our niche. There was another time when he would do analysis for the draft, and he would have very good insight on what these college kids are facing coming out of college and what it's like to make the transition from college football to pro football. And he has a very interesting perspective on that. So we did a lot of interviews around that. But you really have to figure out, okay, what's going to strike a chord with the media, and which media should I target to get my story told?
Interesting. Yeah.
Very
So
good.
going along the lines of targeting the right media and that being an issue for small businesses, Scott Gerber is a young entrepreneur. I'm part of the Young Entrepreneurs Council. I think that's what it's called. Oh my gosh. Anyway, Scott Gerber is someone I highly, I respect him, and he did a live stream not too long ago that explained how he got into Forbes magazine and a few other major media publications. And he was saying the number one thing is relationships, that the media needs stories, and it's oftentimes that they're short-staffed, people work long hours there, and that they really want to hear from you if you have something like you were saying pertains to their audience. But the biggest difficulty there is in just the relationship. So how do you feel that you or any PR professional could come in and help that small business owner get in front of the media or get in front of whoever's writing the story or having them on the segment? What could you offer them?
Well, me personally, I mean, I know a lot of people, at least when it comes to regional media, I know how a newsroom thinks. I know that a story, it comes into, I mean, I worked in media. So if someone sent me a press release when I was anchoring the news, chances are I just deleted it. I didn't even look at it. I might have glanced at it. If it was like, yes, it was gone. So unless I got a personal phone call from somebody saying, hey, you should really check this out. So the relationship building is huge. And for me, I've worked with a lot of the media here in the Pacific Northwest, and I have ties, really throughout the United States, because the TV news business is a very small business. But depending on what niche you're working in, over time you develop relationships with people at magazines or influential bloggers or newspapers, all those things so when you call up and you say, I've got a story that you really need to pay attention to, and here's why. And the other thing for small businesses, a lot of times they think that they will have a compelling story, but maybe it's not really earth-shaking news. So you have to think of a way to make it relevant and make it newsworthy and tell that story, what sets them apart from their competition, and tell their story in such a way that does make it newsworthy, and find that hook that you can kind of, does it work in, like I'm working with another client on a story regarding mortgage and the mortgage mess and, foreclosures and all that kind of stuff. Well, gee, that's really a relevant story right now. So, we should have no problem getting that story placed because everybody's talking about it. 60 Minutes has done, numerous stories on the same thing. So you want to make sure that the story, maybe it ties into a broader news story that's a national news story and you have a local angle to it. But it is about relationships. Having those relationships really helps, when you're calling somebody up and say, hey, you really need to listen and here's why.
Well, the only reason why I brought it up is because, and I don't know if you experienced this, because you went on some
only
different
with Margo.
appearances with Margo by yourself, but when I went on the New Day Northwest, which I think you have a photo of it in there, it was insane. We walked in the building and everyone was saying, "Oh, hi Margo, how's it going?"
Yeah,
Jen
was
everyone
very
knew,
impressed.
Everyone knew her in that building, and I was just like, okay, this is why you have to hire people for PR, because I mean, that in and of itself is so worth it. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Those are good photos too.
Yeah, because
Jen had great photos, and you know what made that successful, Jen. And this is just a great example with Jen, because you won the award, the Champions of Change. Well, number one, not everybody gets an award from the White House, so that's kind of a big deal. But the reason we didn't target a newscast is because the fit isn't really there. You have to know New Day Northwest is a talk show. It airs in the middle of the day. Their demographic is women. Their demographic is going to be people like you, people like Kathy, people who are maybe small business owners who work out of their homes. And, there's going to be that interest there because there's the woman female demographic. So that's why we called them. And then I've done some work with a producer over there, and I know Margaret, over the years. And so they were very interested because the other part of it is you had visuals, you had video of when you were there, you had photos of when you were there. And besides, you had a great backstory of what really went on during your trip to the White House. And you could talk about the people that you were helping through young female entrepreneurs. You could bring along a young female entrepreneur with you who also had a story to tell. So it was a very well-rounded, very, fleshed out story. And we made it as easy as we could because, as your other source said, yes, newsrooms are stressed. So you want to make it as easy as possible for them so they can do your story and they don't have to spend hours trying to pull all the information together. You want to make it easy for them. And we were able to do that. And you were great on TV.
Yes, she was.
Well,
I have to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But so if you're a small office, home office business listening, that was just an intense amount of information there. Hopefully you're jotting down notes, having the photos, videos, having a well fleshed out story. So Margo, along with that, what's the one thing, if someone were to hire you, what would you want them or any someone were to hire any PR professional, what's the one thing that you would want to spend the majority of your time focused on?
That's a good
What's
one.
your story? What's your story? You have to have your story. And then that PR person can really tell you whether it's going to get coverage. Sometimes one of the hardest parts of my job is managing expectations. I was just speaking with a client earlier this afternoon. We have a press release getting ready to go out, and he was asking me, well, when can we expect people to call and want interviews? And it's like, we may get some. We hope we get some. I have some people that I'm going to be calling, but maybe 3-4 months go by and you do a web search and all of a sudden you find that, oh yeah, this one magazine ran a big article, but they just used the press release and they didn't call you for additional comments. Your story still got out there, which is awesome, but they didn't call you for additional information because maybe it wasn't that kind of story. Maybe it was an announcement or something business related where you didn't have video or the pictures to go with it necessarily. So, that's one thing that I would, tell clients. The other, so make sure you have a story. Your media professional can tell you whether it's going to get coverage or not. But the other thing is, on your messaging and then coming up with your story and differentiating yourself from your competition, figuring out what your story is. I think that's really important.
I think it is.
Well, okay, so in that sense, how much time should we be focused on creating press releases? Why would we use a press release if we were doing it DIY ourselves?
Well, there's it depends how you're going to distribute it. There are firms that you can use online that you want a professional looking press release. Sometimes that's the only way that you can get the information out. Sometimes, we'll just pick up the phone and say, here's the information. I don't really need to put together a press release, but here's the story. And you can give enough of the facts so they'll say, oh yeah, that sounds really good. Set it up for me. That's great. I mean, I'm doing that with a client right now. I'm not writing a press release. I'm just saying, here's a really good story you need to check out. And we have this, and this already put together for you, and here's who you can call for the interview, and you can do it that way too. It's a little, sometimes I think it's tough for small businesses because when they go to pitch themselves, maybe it's not as professional sounding if they don't have a lot of experience doing it because they don't know how to position themselves. So that's one thing to consider, is having that third person or that third party do it for you. Sometimes that gives you a little bit more credibility because you're not just selling yourself. So a PR professional can certainly lend you credibility as they're, pitching your story for you. And I think that makes a big difference with some types of media.
Well, and I think you guys have a better ear at that kind of stuff. You'll find the story. We might tell you some stuff. You say, hey, I don't know if that's the angle, but you get it out of us exactly what it is. We might not even know exactly what it would be. And I thought you were very good at that, too. You always found the angle.
Well, and like I've been working with some nonprofits, nonprofit agencies this fall surrounding domestic violence. And, that's a difficult topic for a lot of people. And so the gal that I was working with had done a great job putting together an initial press release. And then partway down, I said, oh, this is great information. I said, do you mind if we move this to the top of the release and make this our key message? Because it was the one thing that was really going to get the attention of the newsrooms. And it turned out that we did. We got a huge piece on TV, and, we had the main anchor come out and do the story, and it was fabulous. But it was just, you're right, it's long time experience knowing, okay, here's what they're going to pay attention to.
And that's what you also pay a PR person to do, is that kind of stuff, if you ask me. I think that's really important.
Yeah, well, a lot of small businesses, as far as the paying part goes, they think of press as being free marketing, basically, which in a lot of cases it may be, but also, I mean, if you're paying someone, a PR person, whoever you're working with, whether it be Margo or whoever, a lot of small businesses will ask how we've gotten into magazines or things like that, and we'll say, oh, well, we hired someone for that. And they'll ask how much it is, and we'll say, oh, well, it's not incredibly affordable, but it's not crazy expensive either. But if you look at it, and like Margo was saying, Margo, you were saying with the if you choose the right place, the right outlet with the right demographic.
I think that's another important
There's somebody
thing.
I know of on Facebook that got on Good Morning America, and she now has, her sales went up something like 500%. It was just crazy. So if you nail it right, it's definitely a nice return on investment.
It can be. And a lot of it now, too, the media is so fragmented. It is so fragmented. And, sometimes it is better to make use of your social media and your blogs and your influential bloggers and your trackbacks and all those kinds of things, because you can get your word out pretty effectively that way. And then sometimes if you get enough buzz going that way, then you'll get picked up by the more mainstream media. Then you can go to them and say, well, hey, I've been working on this and this is a great story, and here's the kind of feedback I'm getting on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and you can approach it from that angle too. So, there's more than one way to skin a cat and get your publicity.
Yeah, definitely.
It may not, you may not get on the Today Show your first time out, but you can work up to that for sure.
I think you gave us 2 steps. We had goals this year, or the past couple of years, and we've actually hit most of those goals. But it took a couple efforts and a lot of your ideas, or the whole wrapping around a story. Getting that story out of maybe a mother-daughter team or whatever you want to do, but you helped to start that, and then we were able to go forward too. So I think starting with a PR person that had a lot of knowledge, instead of going through many months or years of, I wonder if this is working, go to that person right away and then move forward with your goals.
The strategic planning is important in that you sit down and you want to find out, okay, what are your goals with publicity? What are you trying to do? Because you want the right kind of publicity, and you want to make sure that it's getting to your audience. And then the strategic messaging, you don't want to go out and get on the Today Show or NBC Nightly News or, whatever the case may be, Good Morning America, first time out. Most people aren't able to handle, number one, that kind of pressure, those kinds of questions. So I always tell clients it's a process, and if I'm working with them over a period of time, we build up to that. And so we'll sit there and we'll go back and we'll listen to interviews and we'll say, you did this really well. I really liked the way you answered this. And we've already gone and done mock interviews where we've gone through the really difficult questions.
That. Yes.
We'll do that. And
that
so
that.
We'll go over the questions. How are you going to answer this in such a way that it reflects positively on your company? And so you go through all of that, and then you practice. Practice those mock interviews, and then pretty soon it just becomes second nature. But we would go back to clients and say, you might want to change your answer, and you might want to say this instead of this, because can you hear the difference, and can you see what difference that makes with your brand and your company's brand, and what you're trying to, what kind of publicity you're trying to garner here. So it is a process, and the clients, they do get better with practice, and sometimes they do really well, and we love to see that, because then we know that, hey, they're listening and they care about how they're portrayed and what they're doing. And so, you just don't go out and hit, a home run right out of the park, right out of the gate the very first time. It does take time to build up to, those really big interviews sometimes.
Well, it also helps if you even get the local stuff going. You get the web traffic, you get your knowledge of how this is all starting to work, and a lot more. You get confidence too, I thought, in the stuff that you learn from a PR person or somebody that knows about what they're, the media and how they work. And I just thought it was one of the best trainings to go forward with our business. So
insider knowledge is really valuable, and it's great to share it, because so many people don't know how the media works, and there's all kinds of weird little quirks behind the scenes, or why they pick one story over another, or why they pick one interview over another. And if you're a really good interview and you can speak quickly, succinctly, concisely, and have a great message and be enthusiastic about what you're saying, it's going to make a huge difference. And so they'll come back to you. And a lot of times for small businesses, I mean, it's great if they can be referred to as an expert in their industry. And then the next time the media needs an expert on, web hosting or something, they'll say, oh, I saw Kathy and Jen on such and such. I heard them on the radio. Let's call them. And we know that a lot of their businesses are, small, medium size, a lot of women-owned businesses. So let's call them, because that's what our target demographic is too. So if you can become that expert where the media seeks you out, that's, you're golden.
Okay, guys, so I've got 2 questions left for Margo. The last one, the second one that I'm going to save, is the one that you're going to really want to hear. It's talking about some tips. The first one I'm bringing up, if you're a mother watching, PenelopeTrunk.com is a very controversial blog that speaks to people who are, I think I've sent you a link.
Did you?
We'll have a link. I don't really want to link over to her.
No, don't link it if it's controversial.
It's controversial. She's big. She's done a few startups in the Brazen Careerist is one of them. But anyway, she runs this blog. And she just wrote a blog for TechCrunch over the weekend, I think it was. And she was saying that women, stop telling us to start businesses. We want to be moms. Yeah. She goes after the controversial headline, which Margo might know a thing or two about, like trying to get the press to focus on you. But I think that's what she was going after with this. But I wanted to get your advice.
Grow on that one.
I don't. Anyway,
odd.
Margo was, and I asked her if I could mention this. She was a mother at one of the biggest times in your career, right?
That was
you
big.
were anchoring the news, and
at odd hours of the day. I'm sure.
Had 2 boys, right?
No, one.
One boy.
Well, unless you count my husband. Are you counting my husband?
But raising a child, being a wife, and that's a pretty demanding job.
And her mother-in-law lives. I mean, it's very family-oriented.
So
You've got a lot going on.
balance everything? And what's your take on the focus on being a mom kind of mantra?
I recently heard a speaker, and this so resonated with me because her message was that some guy in a back room somewhere came up with the whole work-life balance thing, because in reality, it doesn't exist. So once you know that, set yourself free. There is no work-life balance. You're going to have more family priorities in your life at certain times, and you're going to have certain work priorities in your life at certain times. See, now, Jen, you're a young mom, so you're going to, and you're also growing a company. So you are going to try and balance, but certain days, if your son is sick, you're going to make him a priority. Mm-hmm. If you've got a big project at work, that's going to be your priority that day. So you do the best you can. And then, like when my son was young and growing up, it was like, work, when I'm at work was a priority, but when I was home, he was a priority and my family was a priority. So there really is I don't really believe in a balance. And that whole idea was so freeing to me, because now my son is in college. And so now I can I also have another company that I'm the executive director of, which is the Springboard Academy. So I'm working on that as well. In addition to my PR company, I am a new to the Washington State University Board of Trustees for their foundation, and I'm a new member of the Seafair Board. So
congratulations on all that.
Busy and doing a lot of other things, and so my son is out of the house and he doesn't need me there every day because he's a college kid. So for right now, work is more of a priority for me, and then at some point in my life, my family will probably once again, maybe if he gets married and has grandkids, then maybe then it will change again. But at this point, I can make work a priority. When he was younger, it was more, he was a priority when I was home. And if I was at work, then work was a priority. But I loved the whole idea of no work-life balance, because if you try to figure that out, you'll drive yourself crazy. Just do what you're doing at the moment and do it the best you can.
I like that.
That's very good. Very good advice. And so we had a crazy day here at Ovalize, so just hearing that made me feel good. So thank you.
Coming from the
The grandma.
no, I thought that was fantastic because that's something that I've definitely been thinking about lately. So, for all of our viewers, the last question, the most exciting question, I'm sure, of the entire evening. I know a lot of you want to get your products on television, especially at Christmas time,
yeah.
Hanukkah, whatever gift-giving season it is. It's a really big deal right now. So, what are your top 3 tips to get a small office, home office business with an awesome product onto television?
That's a very good question.
Okay, so a lot of it you've already heard, but I'm just going to reiterate here. So in case you've missed it or just joining, it's know your TV show's audience, know who their demographic is, and target the right media that, identify your story. That's another thing. Identify what your story is that you're selling to that media. And it's the old, whiff 'em, what's in it for them? What part of your story is really going to appeal to their audience that makes them look good? And then, have that hook that's going to interest them in your story. What makes it newsworthy? What makes it relevant? Really know what that hook is. Does it tie into a national story? That's a big deal. So those are really my top 3. Know the media's audience. In this case, if it's a TV show, know their audience. Identify your story, and then have the newsworthy hook to your story. And I'll give you an example. And I know, Kirk Werner. He's a fabulous graphic designer, and he wrote a series of children's books based on fly fishing, based on a character, Olive the Little Woolly Bugger, which is a fly. And so when we targeted media for him, because he wanted to get the word out about his books, we went to a local morning newscast. But we didn't target the hard news segment. We targeted, when they're doing feature stories. And so he was able to get on TV and talk about fly fishing with the male anchor, and talk about his books there. And, we already had all the visuals and all the graphics and all the cool photos already put together for them. We had video of, fly fishing and stuff like that. So we did that. And then the other thing, like for radio, we got him onto a very targeted radio show that was an outdoor show where they talk about fishing. So it's all, make sure that you know the TV show's audience, tell your story, and have the hook that makes it newsworthy. Those are my 3 tips.
Fantastic.
Nice. Good.
We'll have to make those into some clips somehow.
Yes.
It's fantastic information. Thank you
One
so
of my
much.
favorite shows was tonight, just because every small business needs this information so bad to get out there. And I'm sure everybody's wondering these things too every day. I mean, we did. So it's
No.
good
Well, I hope
stuff.
it's helpful. I enjoyed being on your show. Thank you.
I know. Thank you
you,
so much,
Margo, so much.
And everyone that's watching right now, you can go to Margo Myers, which is MYERS.com, MargoMyers.com, and find out more about who she is as a PR person. Also at ovalite.tv, we'll include her Twitter links, some Facebook information about the Springboard Academy.
Yes, that's a big deal for, well, it used to be for small business, no, women-owned businesses. And now they've gone even bigger. So I love their story. And let's put all of her information so people can go to their Facebook page too.
Yeah. So Margo, thank you again for being on SOHO Insights. We really appreciate it. That was fantastic information.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So everyone, thank you so much for watching this evening. We record live Monday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over at ovalite.tv/live.
Thank you, Parallels, for sponsoring us.
And
we
thank
love
you for just having an excellent product. So
Yes.
this is our ovalite.tv site. And hopefully by next year we'll have a new and improved, beautiful site. We're over on Blip TV /SOHO Insights. Got our show there.
Yeah, we
and
have a
also
lot coming
on iTunes. Listen to us on your iPhone, on Apple TV, wherever you are at with that.
And tonight is Seahawks game in Seattle, so go Seahawks, and we will talk to you next week. Thanks again, Margo, and everybody for tuning in. This is Kathy and Jen with SOHO Insights. Bye.